the house, not back on the water. Just got actually had a long day at work. Good news is made overtime. Gonna be able to buy more baits, right? But we've got an unboxing to get through here, and then we'll talk about a few other things. Right now, I just finished editing a video. It's the Bougie Pogue Part 2. If you guys remember right, I did an unboxing video from that same day a while back. But that video hopefully will hit tomorrow. It's kind of when I first got on a little decent bite with our AliExpress Megabass SV3 knockoff spinnerbaits, and kind of the second day where I really started liking the Super Destroyer. At first I thought it was going to be too stiff. So anyway, we're back in the Swimbait game now, right? That was like 3 weeks ago, right? It's a whole new world right now. So we've got some packages from AliExpress, a package from Upside Down Tacklewarehouse, Vanessa Lorenzo, and then this package from DRT. Let me try to cover that. You guys can make that out. DRT USA. And I don't even have the rest of the stuff to go with it. I just want to get those. Vanessa, you better stop, girl. Alright, so this, oh my gosh, should be the colors that I like. My favorite color on the this place, I guess I order a bunch from them. I don't even know the name of the places, but and Jay may actually be interested in these because they're sort of like those easy swimmers that he sent me. But I needed at least one more pack of these. This color seems to work on a lot of different as trailers or by itself. And I don't even know, they don't even have a name for the color. They just have a number for it. It's that number right there. If you guys go on Meredith Baits. Whoa. Why won't that focus? JXS0409, whatever. So this is the first time I've tried them in that style. Now let me open them up. I don't think these have any salt, no scent, nothing added to them. No, they just smell like rubber. Now this is, I think that's the biggest size I could get. That's roughly like a 3-inch. But that should be a very good bait for the size. I wish you could get them bigger, but I'm pretty sure that's the biggest size I can get. But I like that color. It's definitely one of my favorite colors coming from AliExpress. Their baits. So they're swim baits, right? Not this caliber, but they're swim baits. And Vanessa, he's on. No, they're not edibles. Yeah, that's Vanessa. She was just messaging me about having hair, so I sent her some pics when they'd thrown a wig on me at one time or another, real long, crazy, looked like a long-haired hippie. But anyway, let's get back to focus, you guys. We got an unboxing to do, so I'm gonna save what may be the best for last. But we're gonna open up what I got from Tacklewarehouse right now, and we're gonna do it with our knife. Our very sharp, good knife. This is just kind of stuff I've already had that I liked and I needed to get more of, basically. And then a few colors in the diesel minnow. So, taking out that. There's their little packaging stuff. Get it out of the way. So it's kind of odd, got all that stuff in there, that it all showed up on at the same time. But let's, while we're on the soft plastics, so I wanted to try some different colors. I definitely want to get the hot snakes, just a 4-inch to put on like the Bee Height Delight. I think that'll make a good trailer for that. Chatterbait, good old black and blue laminate, just to put on any black and blue spinnerbait, chatterbait. I tried to kind of run these by themselves. They really either need to go on that like a naked chatterbait or back of a spinnerbait or something like that by themselves on an underspin or however you rig them. They kind of, I don't know if they've got that magic in them. But this color, the Houdini, for what Z-Man makes, that's the closest I could come. And it's, I know it's off because of the red. And I was hoping they would be, and sometimes with any of these baits, the colors can vary somewhat. Because Houdini sometimes looks a lot more brown. It doesn't, on the, like the Zinker's worms, a lot of times don't look quite like those do. But those should work. Like anywhere where I might try those, I might try that color also. And just see. But these, if you guys know the Z-Man ElaZtech, it's going to outlast all other soft plastics unless they're also made out of that elastomer type stuff. So let me move those out of the way. Let's go to the hard baits and the spinner baits. So let's do the spinner baits first while we're on that spinnerbait kick. Because that color is a good color to put on the back of this. And I don't know if... Yeah, I think that you could actually get by with that on this. I'm going to try it, but I for sure, because it's already proven, these on the back of any of the bluegill patterns kind of blends in and works real good. But as far as spinner baits, I have had, and some of you guys may not even know this, but they make, just in these Z-Mans right here, I got the 3/8 ounce ones. So in this one, they make it even a lot bigger, and then 1/4 and 3/8 on that one, and then 1/4 and 3/8. So you got just a regular sling blade, Luke Clausen one. You can tell it's just double willow. You got the Power Finesse, and I'm not sure. I think it's just, you can get 3/8 ounce, and it's smaller, if you guys can make that out. They're both 3/8 ounce, but this is just a little smaller, finessier version. And then they got the Power Finesse, I can't even talk today. You guys know I can never hardly talk. So then they also have this one, though, with like the Colorado, Indiana style. So out of the bluegill colored spinnerbait, in the 3/8 ounce, that's the options you can get. You can actually get 3 different variants kind of thing, even just with that same weight. Now this is the only one I've had. So this one, the only downside to this, it wants to ride up those blades, and it's even a 3/8 ounce, and you can also get it in a 1/4, and it would even ride a little higher going real slow, which can be a good thing. But you also want to have that option of throwing a 3/8, maybe even want to get, I'm going to try the 3/8 with the trailer on it. It's more like a 1/2 ounce bait, but sometimes the soft plastic will let it ride up. Like if I have a Zinker's, or not a Zinker's, I actually probably could put a little piece of Zinker's on there, but something soft plastic that floats, it, or soft plastics in general, going to kind of, sometimes they'll help it even ride up a little bit. But this one will definitely get down there, and it's a little bigger profile, and this one should get down even a little further than this one. So if you were like putting them in a water column, this one would be higher, this one would be down, this one here, running at the same exact speed. They're just naturally, the weight and the way the blade design is, that's how they're going to run. Now you can try to slow them down, but this one, as slow as you can go, and then blades are still turning, won't get as down as low as this one. And if you wanted to try to burn one and still be down a little bit further, that would be your best option. So that kind of deal. So we got those, right? Improving our bait arsenal. Not swim baits, but we're not going full, don't go full swim bait. Have you guys ever seen Tropic Thunder? Don't go full, you know what? You don't go full swim bait. Unless you guys already have and you're having luck and having fun, then that's fine. But Charlie is not going to go full swim bait. And yes, I just talked about myself in third person. So then these magical little baits that you cannot water slap to try to get the gunk off of them because the bill will break. I picked up in 4 of the colors that truly, completely spoke to me. They are going to catch some fish. These are close, but they are slightly different, but that color is already proven for me, and even in the 1.5 Strike King 1 knock, I got on a little tear with them, and I got on a little tear with this one, and started to get on a little tear, and then slapped it and broke the bill off. That poor little dude is sitting right over here. Already had his hooks robbed off of him. Oh, poor dude. All right, get out of there. So, we've kind of got it covered. I've got a red one too somewhere, one of the crawl pattern ones. So if I'm in pretty clear, you know, water, wanting bait fish, I'm gonna have this one murky, any water really. Clear water, murky, white can almost work anywhere, anytime. And then these, of course, any kind of a bluegill, crawl, brownish type color. A lot of guys recommend just have a brown crankbait. Have a white crankbait, a brown crankbait, a transparent looking crankbait, a chartreusey crankbait. So we got it covered there, and I just like the littler ones. So far, I've got some of the 2.5s again this season to try, and they're about ready to work their way out of my arsenal because I feel I just don't get on the bites like I can with these little dudes. If they're not active enough to chase spinner baits, chatter baits, these baits, it's like a 2.5 is not going to help you. It's like it's still right there in that wheelhouse of they're not really wanting something that big and loud, and you know, vibrating that much. And I feel these little ones are just a finessey enough, and they still make a pretty good presence, but I don't know, I just feel I get, and you can still catch big fish on that 1.0 size. That's probably my favorite all-around square bill size, and it's roughly right around what the Digit is, which I'm lucky right here I have, oh my gosh, a Digit hanging on to my Booyah Hard Knocker. So we'll try to do a little size comparison, because I think this little bait right here has now replaced the Digit for me, thankfully, because the Digit you can't get anymore. It's a little bit different of a bait, but it does roughly the same thing. It's not a real deep, but it does go through the wood great, which the Digit did. They both have fragile bills that are made in France. You can't get this exact color in these, but I think these are going to definitely be, I looked for like years, they didn't have these made yet. I looked for like a couple years. I never really found something I could say was an answer, and I think that may be it. And it's early on. Ah, that bait hits me. It's early on, but I think that's the answer. I really do. All right. Final unboxing, and then we're going to go talk about a few other things, what to be looking for, and an AliExpress purchase I will probably make tomorrow. I already bought one of their bigger swim baits. I can't remember what it's called, but it showed they had the last one. It was $10, and the other one I found it in another spot, but it was like $13.50. So I just bought the one for $10 so I could get it coming already. But I'm waiting for there's a sale tomorrow, and I shared the link to Brew Tank to get these, and I don't know if they're on sale or not, but some of the bigger and different styles swim baits is what I want to get. So we'll have a variety to show you guys which ones I recommend. But I don't know if you guys watched that last swim bait video where I caught the kicker fish, the big 6.5 pound bass attached to roughly the 10-inch bass on the square bill I was just actually talking about, which proved why I kind of add these might actually help you get bit by having something on the front of a bait. It's hard to knock these baits, and especially if you're in waters like me where you might get lucky to catch an 8-pounder. 10-pounder is probably going to be very rare, even if you're out swim baiting your little behind off, because there's just not that many in our waters. We don't have the true giants like you do once you get further south and over south, you know, California, Texas, Alabama, you know, some of the lower stays warmer longer, just a different growth rate for the bass. They're going to be bigger bass. It's just that simple. It's science. But we're still going to get some of the bigger baits. But these are hard to knock for, I think I shared the link with Brew Tank, and I think they're like $2.50. And then what I found was when I went there again, I wasn't even paying attention the first time. I ordered like 2 or 3 last year, and then like 8 or 9 this over the winter, this last winter, because I knew they did work. I got on a little tear with this one. That's why I'm going to pull it back out of my favorites box. So this one and that one I got. That one has sucked. This chartreusey looking one. This one, I like it. It does very good. So far, this one has sucked. This one has done very good. This one's done okay. I need to take more of that orange off. I was looking back today at pictures of fish I caught. Not really, I was just scrolling through my pics, and I realized that every time I took a picture of some of those big bluegill me and Charles were catching, Georgia Giants, I think they're called, and I was looking at bluegill pics. Almost no bluegill has just orange all over him. They're usually right here. Most of them have some blue up in here, hence the bluegill, and then they have a lot of blue down here. They don't have orange. There's hardly no fish out in the water that just has a huge, the whole bottom is orange. I know one of you guys are going to mention a fish that I forgot about, but so I need to take most of that orange off except right up in here. I'm going to scrape it down. I might even add some sort of more touches of blue here and there on that bait if I really want that bait to be like very good. But while I was on that spot looking for brew tank so I could find the place where I ordered from, because it's about the cheapest place, like $2.25. Basically, like I called it, $3.50 by the time shipping or whatever per bait. But if you guys remember right, we lost tails, right? So I thought I was going to have to be sacrificing some of these guys. Like, oh, well, we're just not going to have tails. Maybe I'll try to make tails. And honestly, you could go buy... The cheapest way to do this is go to like Dollar Tree, or you guys got dollar stores with a paintbrush, basically. You can make your own tails if you want to. Because some of your custom high dollar baits, that's what they have. They have like a brushed... And it's not hard to do, trust me, guys. That is not hard to... Now to make one that is removable, but to basically shape a brush in the shape that you're wanting to get it, you know, and kind of glue the lower part, glue it in, and then trim it to look like a tail of whatever size with cheap, you can use deer hair. There's so many different things you could do to add tails, but you can also, I found the site where I got these originally, they sell the tails like 10 for $2.50 or something like that. So you can just buy the replacement tails, which is kind of cool. So brew tank, if that link, if you guys had seen in the comments where I sent him that link, and if you can't find these with the replacement tail, I can send you that link also. I may put it at the end of this video if I remember and get around to it, but we got a lot of other stuff to talk about. So let's do this other unboxing, and then we're going to talk about briefly just some of the other style, kind of the styles of baits that are out here, the style of swim bait fishing you guys can do, because it seems a lot of you guys are intrigued, even though swim baiting's been around forever, and a lot of videos that are teaching me have been out for like last 5 to 10 years. But sometimes it's good to hear. I feel, I'm going to talk about, man, I'm going off on tangents, but I feel there's several ways to learn things. Some people can read it in a book, explain to them like instructions, and get it. Other people need to watch people, and sometimes it's just as simple as say it a certain way and it clicks in. So anyway, I ordered these without even having the actual handle that these knobs go on. I just want to see what these were all about, and this was the cheapest way to do it. To just order a set of knobs that don't have any ends, no handle for it or anything. I'm just going to order some. What I'm hoping is some of my ends I can do a makeshift and just see, would I even want this? If somebody handed me a $200 DRT handle, the $50 knobs, and would I even want to put it on my reel and fish it? So... you know the deal. We like to test stuff around here. So I just ordered a set. When I first spotted all this kind of stuff going on and I looked on eBay, like people are still trying to sell this stuff outrageously priced on eBay. And the same thing with the Working Class Zero everything. And that's why a lot of these sites are like, they only limit to whatever, because a lot of people are just trying to buy, like the swim bait craze. They're trying to buy stuff and then put it on eBay like it's some rare and hard to find, when DRT USA is still selling this stuff. You just gotta like, it's kind of like 22 ammo, still probably, or was there for a while. Like everybody and their brother was buying it and hoarding it, and you couldn't get it. And so the prices were going up, and there's not really a shortage of anything. Toilet paper, the toilet paper's still there, guys. You can always use your, you know, you don't have to have toilet paper anyway. Did you guys know that humans survived for a long time and toilet paper wasn't even invented yet? So anyway, we got these now. We have nothing to put them on. We just, ooh, man, they feel special. These are the sand color. In case I wanted the OG green or whatever, but I thought these sand, kind of corkish, right? Brown. It's a very light brown, is what I'd call it. It's like a trout brown. Could it be bone? Close. They honestly look bigger. Like they don't feel as big as they look. Once you get hold of it, you're like, oh, I see. I see where, yeah, boom, you got a hold of it. So here's what I'm going to try to do. Let me just go, hang on. Time out, guys, time out. Okay, bye, Vanessa. Hang on, which one do I want to get? So let's just say that we want to turn should we use this one? Who's got the bigger handle? Let's just use this dude as an example. Okay, I'm back. Maybe. So let's just say we wanted to see what Zillion 10 would look and work like with the DRT flat knobs. So where's my lucky penny? This penny has gotten chewed up. Don't take any wheat pennies or anything and try to do this. But so let's just take this off and just see how far off the holes are. Oh, look at that. Fits right on. Okay, now you got a huge gap, so you would need like a cap or something. But it does fit right on. It's snug. It's not going to fall off. So in theory, I could actually come up with something to probably make these work on these. So let's just put them both on, just see what it look like. This is a 90 millimeters, a stock handle. I believe it's 90. I'm trying to think and look and see if I don't think I've got anything other than the Lose, which is totally different. I can't do it like I do these. That's like 95. I do have a crazy Abu Garcia one in there. It's like 120, but I think those knobs are different too. So take off our fancy cork that's custom shaped by me, and I'm still not sure if I like that shape. But right, we know how to make our own cork knobs more or less here. What am I looking for? Oh, this other one. So they do, that's what I was wondering. They go right on. And honestly, like a 90 millimeter, it would be fine. Because they make a 87, 100, and so I can see where the 100 would be okay. So these are basically just a big jumbo version of Lose, maybe one of the first companies I remember that had these, with the paddle style. The Steez A, older generation, came with a very similar thing. A lot of guys like that, a lot of guys don't. I'm not a huge fan of the smaller ones. I don't know what it would take. If you guys look in there, there's like so what you would need is you would just need this basically extended out, you know, the threads, because it actually does fit right in there. So if you had that in a long enough version, or technically a guy could come in here if you wanted to, you know, if you're like, I'm for sure I want to put these on, you could shorten them up, because as you can see where I'm grabbing out here, I'm grabbing out here. I could take off probably the difference that it would take to get them to fit. And you never know. I may cut them down. You never know about me. Just so I don't have to spend any extra money other than, and these were like $32. So actually, yeah, 40, they're basically $20 a knob by the time you get done with shipping. It's like 32 something, and then another $8 to ship, $8 or $8.50. So it's roughly $20 in a knob if you wanted to just add them to your stock handle. I know you can do it. I just don't know if I'm going to do it, because I may just try to either A, hold on to these until somebody may want to buy them from me if I don't want them. But you can't like go back. There's no going back from cutting that off if I cut it down to where these would go. because I actually like the idea of them being in closer. That's the whole point of the swept handle, to be in tighter. So you still have a big firm grip, but it's closer, to the, because what I can already tell you that these should fit on, but I think that Gomexus makes this exact, they don't make the colors though. The DRT colors, they have several different colors. I think the Gomexus are just black. But I mean, I guess I could see where, and the theory, if you guys don't know, well, why would you want something that huge? Well, the swimbait guys are just notoriously known and they're gonna crank that fish right to the boat and net it, just like the tournament guys. You guys know we're not like that. We like to give them the Mike Iaconelli hook set. Oh, it's a giant. And then we like to dance them into the boat, let them get their little jumps in. And, the enjoyment of fishing. Let them have a little bit of a fight. Like, I feel just winching them in with 50-pound braid, owner, I don't know, 8 to 10-aught beast hook that you've done a hard jarring with, hook set with an 8-foot extra heavy action rod, and even if it is a 10-pound bass, dude, that is like, I'm not saying it's impossible to lose that fish, but like, that's not giving that fish much of a chance, in my opinion. And I don't know, this is just my take on fishing in general, nothing to do with, and I'm not trying to put down a swimbait guy, catfishing guy, or whatever. The way I fish, you guys have seen it. I'm out there, I might be BFS fishing or whatever, and I mean, I don't want to lose a fish either, but I don't want to, I don't know, it's hard to explain, just my theories and thoughts on, why I fish, first of all. But the idea behind these aren't necessarily to give you more cranking power, they're to let you hold on, because if you listen to the guy that kind of helped design them with the DRT Working Class Zero, Mike Gilbert, was that even with the bigger knobs or something, when you get out there, and if you are a true diehard swimbaiter, you might be out there just throwing you get in a lull. You guys also know you do this just with regular fishing. If the bite's tough, you'll be out there. You've seen me and Charles do it. I'll be looking back, talking to Charles about something. Oh, look at the bald eagle, this and that, and then you'll feel that hit, and you're not even sure, where your hand is. You may have already have your hand off. So to get back and get to cranking fast, which does make sense. If you're sitting there doing a slow wind with like a Huddleston dragging it across the bottom, and you're in la la land, you're less likely to, you got more to hold on to, and then to start your crank in the first place with these. That's the whole point. And then the whole, it's just, I wouldn't even call it a bougie factor. It's just like a cool factor with swim baits, with, certain baits. And that's why they're painting them extra little special. Half these baits don't need to look as fancy as they do to catch a fish. It's to catch the fisherman. It's to give it that extra little something that, like, oh man, there's a lot of time and details been put into that. And it necessarily, once you start using it, as you guys have seen, like, there's several baits that they'll just start getting chewed up, and sometimes that's when they start working better. But as long as they're durable enough, they will last a lot longer. That's where a lot of times your quality comes in. But there are some companies putting out some very cool looking baits that it's to help, pull the fisherman into, catch the fisherman, not necessarily the fish. I will say though that Megabass is about top dog on, their quality of rods, reels when they were doing customizing, but their black paint did not hold up worth a darn back in the day. And they don't really even do reels anymore. But the rods, they're around the reel seat back in the day, it didn't hold up on it either, on the cap. But I have to say the Super Destroyer definitely has the cleanest, like, if you look at where the glue, it's almost like you would think it would be impossible to set and make every rod that clean looking, like in a whole lineup. I could see one guy taking time building one custom rod and getting it like that, but like all the Megabass that I've seen in person over the years, the old ones, the P5s, I've only seen like 6 of them, but like every one of them just looks very nice. I haven't really paid attention to the Poison Adrenas, but actually those look pretty good. I will say, oh man, my memory is horrible. There was a rod up there. I want to say maybe it was the Levantes. and the Orochis weren't, the spline wasn't lined up. Now don't quote me 100%. I need to get back up to Shields and look, but I want to say I was one of those. I was very unimpressed. And I want to say maybe some of the Dobbins. I don't know. I need to go through and do that one day. I'll go to Shield. I'll just go through to where I know I can look, you know, from the Bantams to the Poison Adrena, and just see, and you guys can get my take on which companies I feel are truly taking the time to line up the splines and that. And while I'm thinking about it, I think I've checked this rod, but let me double check it. I don't think this one's perfectly lined up either. Yeah, the Wizard Rod, this one's close, but I would say this one is just a hair off on the spline being perfectly centered to when you, and if you guys want to check yours, if you're like, what are you talking about, Charlie? All I do is I grab the tip. I don't know if I got enough room in here to show you. I could take the top section off. But when you push down with pressure and you kind of spin the whole rod, it should not want to just, you know, fold over. It should want to, that's where it should be like the spline. Now they claim, I want to say they've claimed some of these don't really have splines anymore, but I'll be honest, if you, any rod I've ever felt, you can find a spline on it. You can find it where it wants to be the softest. And a lot of times there's a back, the opposite side, there's also, could be like a double spline kind of thing. So where that's like on a, I don't know, it's hard to explain. And some guys will argue that you can actually flip it completely around and give the rod a different action if you wanted to, like, you know, buy blanks and make your own. But a lot of times people recommend not doing that because, like, that's when you might be more prone to break a rod during a hook set. And I don't know how I got off on this tangent about rods, but while I'm talking about it, might as well finish. And you may ask, like, well, why does that matter? Well, first of all, just to pull, when a fish pulls, you don't want anything extra to, it's already going to want to try to twist because the guides are up top. That's why a lot of guys do the spiral wrap. But another thing is, when you cast and you rear back and cast and whatever, the accuracy, if it wants to come straight back and straight forward as it flexes, if it's twisting at all, it can send the bait different directions. So it is definitely better to have them completely lined up if possible. But the rods, so far that we've tested, I've been happy. Other than the Wizard, if you guys know, the first one, it just twinked. The 6'8" medium broke. I've repaired it. It still works. The 6'10" medium heavy, no issues. For a $100 rod, you cannot beat these Wizard rods. They do look just like almost a copy of the at first I was calling them NRX, but they actually look way more, they look exactly like a copy of the Conquest rods is what they look like. The higher, even higher dollar rods, they look like a copy of that. They are not the quality, but the cork isn't far off. It's definitely a cheaper cork, but it's a good cork. It's not much different than the X Pride or the Mega Bass ones I have looked at, even the P5s. Like, nobody nowadays is putting good cork. It's not available. Even the high-end Dobbins and some of them claim they got a double and triple whatever Portuguese cork. It's still not as good as like some of the old school when cork was a little easier to get the good quality stuff. That's why a lot of companies are either EVA or like the wind grips and all that. And I'll be honest, the cork still feels good and I like it overall, the looks, but those wind grips, they're hard to beat. Especially the ones that are copying the carbon look to them, the woven carbon fiber look. Those, I think that's what almost every one should look like. But I don't know why nobody's come out with a cork imitation wind type material of some sort. I still haven't figured that out. I know they've got to be able to get it close. I don't know, you're going to say some of them, this one and that one had brown, but they just never even like tried to make it look. And that imitation cork ones that are out there, they're just cheaper. They're actually, I think they are like a real layer of cork or whatever. So anyway, let's get to swim baits. So stay tuned. Tomorrow night, I'm going to actually jump on and try to show you guys on my computer if it'll work. The last couple times I've tried to do that, like for whatever reason, the internet, everything was like weird, and my phone was acting up. But on AliExpress, I still recommend if you just want to start out, and especially if you're, I'm in here smack dab in the middle of the country in the Midwest. If you're here and then further north, you probably don't need a bigger swim bait than this, to be honest with you. Yes, the drawing power, you may just want to try them, but the ones I'm going to show you, you can actually get them. They're not much bigger than this. They've got a few different sizes on the ones from AliExpress. But I'll try to show you tomorrow the ones I'm looking at. But basically all I do, and I recommend you guys could do the same thing I'm doing. Whether it be on eBay, AliExpress, even on YouTube for that matter. Type in big swim baits, you know, and just look at videos, look at what comes up in the search, and then if you wanted to dive deep into getting some higher end, and this is not higher end, but like say the run of the mill to the higher end, some of the customs or whatever, the best place so far I've seen to actually get some knowledge and be able to purchase some, there's a Facebook group called Swimbait Universe, and that's basically what it is. So go to that, send them a join. I'm a member now for like a day, but you send them a thing, you know, and they'll administrator overlook whatever, but there's basically guys on there selling that stuff. But to get kind of the lingo down on what styles and what kind of swim baits are out there, you basically have on the hard swim baits, I don't have all that there are, but there's basically only a few styles of swim baits. On the soft bodies, there's basically only, I mean, there's a lot of variation, shapes and sizes, but on the soft ones, you really only have two options, in my opinion, and two different ways to hook them. You either have a paddle tail or a wedge tail, and then you can either do like a, well, no, I take that back, 3 hookup. You either can do like a treble, you know, like a stinger type deal rigged up, or you can do like a, you know, big jig style hook on the bottom, like the beast hooks, and they recommend the owner beast hooks is what everybody recommends if that's the way you're going. That's kind of bait what it's made for. Or you can have like a line through. Now they make all different shapes and sizes and stuff like that, and some of the bigger ones, if you guys have heard of the, like I talked about, Working Class Zero, very hard to get though, because that's one thing. A lot of the ones are so sought after and so expensive just because either the guy that makes them quit making them, or he just can't put out enough to get them done. That's like Mike Buca has kind of worked with different companies now, and then the Baca Burrito and all those. And I may get one of those at some point, but I just don't know if I'm going to spend $38 to $50 for one bait. Because, now I know this bait kind of sucks at the moment. And there's another thing you can do with any of these soft ones. We used to do it with RC stuff. If you want to soften up plastic, rubber, even hard plastic for that matter, like if it's brittle, if you boil this stuff, it tends to soften it. So say if you go out there and you feel in extremely cold water or even in warm water, you want this thing tail to have more of a kick, you can actually boil it. But I wouldn't recommend boiling the whole thing because these are pretty soft. Or most baits are soft enough up here. It would only tear more if you boiled the whole thing, but you could boil like the top, you know, bottom part, I mean. And then it would even maybe make this a little more pliable, so if something come up and hit it, it's going to fold up and get caught. Or you run a little stinger back here also would help. But the boiling thing would help on some of those baits. Now like this thing, there's no way you would need it boiled at all. And they make all different sizes of soft plastic, or, you know, soft swim baits, right? But on hard swim baits, there's really only a few, and it's mainly on the joints. Yes, some have bills, right? So just the one that is out there and it's being copied, and there are copies on AliExpress. You guys have probably heard abbreviations and whatever, but there's the Clash 9 or the Tiny Clash. So what that is it's basically a bait similar to this with a little different shaped tail, but it comes with a removable bill and then the different tail option. It comes with one tail that's flat, but it's curved up, or you can turn it the other way and it's curved down, or just a straight tail. So that just gives you different ways to fish that in one bait, and they make two different sizes. Then they have a joker, which is more just a topwater, like a wake bait. It's a thicker bait, but there's a lot of skinny baits out there. But that Clash 9 is a Japanese bait. It's very, I think it's a collab with Working Class Zero, or I'm not even sure about all that. I just know what it kind of roughly looks like, and there's several versions out on AliExpress. And then the new Shimano one that folds like in half as you cast, there's some variations of that out on AliExpress. And if you see any swim bait and it shows it in a pic, it's like folded in half, there's only one that just came out, the Shimano one, that's like 45 or 50 bucks, and AliExpress has them for like, I want to say $17. And it looks like the exact same bait. Not as good at paint jobs, but not bad paint jobs. And I think it's got the flash boost in it too. It folds in half and it's got flash boost, which could come in handy. So I'm probably going to get one of those, a few different sizes of the ones that are copies sort of the Clash 9 or whatever. Then there's another big one I got, because you mainly have a glide bait, or you can do like what we did and then it changes them up somewhat, or you have multi-segmented ones that still kind of do a sort of a wake deal, or you have wake. There's several wake baits out there, or ones that slowly crank down a little bit, but they got a cut body, sort of like what the King Shad, the Strike King, used to make. And I'm pretty sure what I'm seeing on AliExpress is an exact copy of that bait, the King Shad that I talked about last night in a video that Strike King used to put out. And I want to say it's like $5. So that's cheaper than even you could use to get it back for half price in the day from Strike King. So I want to say there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just on AliExpress, copies of kind of mainstream baits that are available probably on Tacklewarehouse, or used to be available from whether it be a Japanese or an American manufacturer. Those are copies. Now, as far as I know, I haven't seen any on AliExpress that have actually tried to copy like the true Mike Buka baits. There's a couple that don't, kind of come close, but like say some of the custom type stuff. So if you want to know on baits like that, and maybe you want to get into that, that's Swimbait Universe would be the best place to start. But you basically have there's like a custom one. Matt Shad is kind of a hard sought after one, I believe. And then the Hinkle Trout, the Hinkle Shad, and then of course the Roman Mother bait, the Gancraft, Slide Swimmer 250 is it? And they've got similar things on, like you can get some pretty big ones on AliExpress. So I'm not getting the biggest one they have. The biggest thing they have on there that I've seen, they have this crazy, it's actually, I think, a copy of a tuna. So it's more like for saltwater. So I think that thing weighs a pound. Like you would need some beyond crazy, saltwater type rod, maybe the stiffest catfish rod made. Like I don't think they actually make a Swimbait rod geared for bass swim baits for that one. And it's like $40. That's all it is. There's a soft plastic, looks kind of like a copy of a Huddleston, I believe. That's 400 grams. That's heavy. That's a heavy bait. I'm probably not going none of those that big, but they have some of the single joint ones that are, I want to say, 250 millimeters long, or 245. I think the biggest one's 245. Some that are 220. There's some that are like the Tiny Clash. They may be even a little off from the K9 or the TK Clash 9 Tiny Clash. that are like in between, because I want to say they have a 135 millimeter one and a 165 millimeter one. Those are only like $10 a piece. I will probably buy one of each size of those. They've also got the little bluegill. It's a wider, bigger one with a deal on it for, I want to say those are $6 or $8. But some of those ones, like the one that's a copy of the Shimano one that folds in half, and they've got some of the 245 millimeter ones, you're still talking $15 to $18 for a swim bait. But it's, those are kind of copies of 75 to 100 plus dollar swim bait. So I'm not sure how crazy I want to go, because I just don't know how crazy I want to go. If I was down around where, like here, you guys have seen me. I'm not trying to brag. I mean, I've got proof. Not every fishing trip, but every so often. Of course, if I buy a new rod, it seems to happen every fishing trip I go out that next week. I'm catching a 5 to a 6.5 pounder, right? So, in all honesty, that's probably the pulling power. All I need are these style baits, like a 6-inch bait. It's probably going to get the job done. But like several of you guys have commented about, like, you feel when you, if you're getting into swim baits, like to have the drawing power, you kind of need to go big or go home. If you really want the truest, biggest giant that's living in your pond, lake, pit, rivers, you know, whatever. And it probably starts out bigger than this or these, more like probably an 8 to 10 inch bait is probably perfect. You go any bigger, I don't know if you're going to have any more luck other than just going to wear yourself out trying to throw bigger than a 10 inch bait. Because the two fish, I don't think I had pics of the old fish that happened to me. The 2 times that I've had this whole bait in the mouth and you can literally watch another bass eat another one, it's only happened to me twice, and I've been fishing for quite a few years, and it was with a kind of what I call quarter pounder with cheese. Like, basically it's a half-pound bass, but like and I'd have to go back and try. I should have measured that bass, because I want to say from my memory it was the exact same size of bass that happened to me on the last time, and it was definitely like a 10-inch bass, right? So like a foot, 10 inches to a foot long bass is what that 6 pound something, and I'm guessing it was a 5 or 6 pounder is what tried to eat that other one. Because, and when I tell you why I think that makes a difference in just the 2 times it's happened to me, is because I couldn't tell you how many other like times that I feel if it would have been like, I think it would happen more if the little bitty dinks had that drawing power to a bigger fish. Because how many times have you thrown a bait this size and you get one not a lot bigger, but it's not that, I don't know, I feel there's something to that that size. Same way I feel like this, that 6-inch and down, it still may, I still feel you kind of need that right time. You need a little help, and it's still going to pull you some big fish, but yet it's not going to be too intimidating for a general bite that may be going on, so you can still catch some fish. So in my opinion, I guess, like, I'm looking at it from the outside, right? I'm not truly a swim baiter yet. I'm not into swim baits. So there's a few ways you could approach this, getting into them. I guess we're kind of in it, right? But like for me, like I talked about from the get-go, I'm not going to go and just get big trophy hunting size baits. I'm definitely not going to spend like $300 to $500 for a bait just to lose it. And I've already spent way too much money than I even needed to, because I already kind of knew what I have to deal with here in my waters. I probably should have stuck with, which one did I say I originally bought? This dude right here and this dude. Probably could have covered me for a long time, but I bought all these over last winter and then started going nuts now. For what I want to do, I just want these to blend in with all my other stuff. I don't want to stop throwing this size little swim bait. Well, Charles he's like king of this little 3-inch to the, I think the biggest one he runs is like a 4.5-inch key tech on these underspins. He's good with them. they don't make enough thump for me. I like spinner baits, but there's just times when that underspin over a spinner bait just works better. But I'm trying to blend it in with my arsenal of baits. I'm not going to go full swim bait. I'm not going to go definitely full big swim bait. So I think if you're just watching this video, if you're new to fishing or new to swim baits in general, and you're like, well, which way do I recommend to do, or which way you do, or you wonder what options you do have? Well, it's real simple to me. There's really, I mean, I know there's probably thousands, but the three main ways to swim bait is either you just go big or go home. So you go buy what everybody's talking about, raving about at the time, whether you got to go get them off eBay, Swimbait Universe, message the guy that's actually making them in his garage and start spending some money, start spending time, go get high. You're going to need at least 3 to 5 Swimbait rod and reel combos to throw some of them big monsters down to the little ones and do all that. And you're in it. You're not going to be catching hardly any little fish. Every time you go fishing, you're starting out probably bigger than this. You're going to start out in you're not messing with 6-inch. You're up in that 8, 10, 14. You're huge. You're talking big. Now, you may include in that arsenal, you may have some, just like what we do, we go a little bit smaller when we know it's like, oh, that bite is just so not good. It's such a bad day. But some guys don't do that. Some guys they're big all the time. But then I think you also got the guys that, and especially some of them over the years, they got the big ones, they got the little ones, they got them all, and they've kind of figured out a way they'll throw a smaller version, and then, they're kind of trying to figure out in their head also when's the chance for that big one is going to be hitting, then I'll throw the bigger baits then. Soft, hard, whatever. And then, like, for what I would recommend, if you're like, well, you're just starting out, and like what I will probably do, honestly, just because I'm nuts, if I'm going to buy one Swimbait rod to throw baits bigger than this, so it's basically, it won't throw anything I've got very good other than the bigger swim baits I'm going to buy that are this size or bigger, right? Because I've got everything to handle. I can actually throw this. But so and we're going to use one for example because I may end up buying that rod, and I know some of you guys are going to be like, no, don't do that. Because I think the rod I'm going to buy is going to be the Daily for a couple reasons. And I'll be honest, the main reason, it looks real cool. It's the coolest looking swimbait rod that I've seen to date that just looks cool. And it's, I guess, readily available. Now, I could have a custom made, just pick a blank material, whatever, but it's off of the North Fork Composites, Gary Loomis kind of blank. It is a 3-piece travel type, so I don't have to worry about this 8-foot rod. Oh my God, I'm hitting it on everything, trying to get it in and out of my truck. It's going to hang off the back of the boat, get ripped off. So while I'm not using it, I can have it broke down at least on one section, or whatever. And it's kind of parabolic. So it's like 2 to 6 grams. I can't remember what, but up to like 30-pound line. So I would probably only be running 20-pound on it, maybe 25, but probably like 20-pound, maybe like 30-pound braid, and then just change my leaders from there. Because I'm definitely would go all braid, so I'd want the better parabolic rod. Now my plan would be on all these, and even the ones that have like the line throughs, and these is fine because you can run this and then these, so you can get by with that rod. Should cover all that. It should cover the almost every hard bait, and you can make it adapt to most soft baits by either running a little stinger off the back of even if you've got something that is supposed to take an owner beast hook, you could still put that hook in there and then run another little stinger off the top of that kind of deal, to where that rod could be the only rod you bought, and then you could get even the cheap AliExpress baits. You're like, oh, I'm just going to buy one rod, or you could buy a rod comparable to that. Something that's more parabolic, intended more for hard baits. You're going to adapt it to soft baits. Just like when I talked about, and that's what I also recommend when you're buying these swim baits. A lot of them, if you go on AliExpress, they say slow float or floating or sinking. I recommend get anything you can that floats. You can always add suspend strips and then adjust it how you like it. Once one's a sinking one on these hard baits, that's all it's going to be. It's not going to, you can't, you could try, but it's way harder to get those to rise up than it is to get one to go down by just simply adding suspend strips or this kind of thing. You know, it's not as hard. Same thing with the rod, in my opinion. You can adapt most of your soft baits. Now you may get to the point where you're like, okay, I can cover everything but this one bait. This Citizen with the 8/0 or 10/0 beast hook, I got to have a stiffer rod. Then you could decide if you want to go cheap, and you can go cheap. The cheapest rods I've seen would be like probably the SLX, or Dobbins makes one, the Tactical Bassin. And if you want any info about this, if you don't know who Tactical Bassin is, go watch their videos. Don't buy everything they're showing you, because you will spend a ton of money. I still can't make myself like this guy yet. I don't know. I'm going to try it. The next time I go out, I'm going to take a little time just figuring out how I like the way this one swims, if I can get it to like where I like the way it swims. So we'll probably be going out and fishing before any of this AliExpress stuff, the other stuff, shows up. I do have a couple more. It's mainly the spinnerbaits, those SV3 spinnerbaits, and that's a video that'll be dropping tomorrow, is when I first really started using those and going, wow, these are awesome spinnerbaits. So any other questions, feel free. Let's see here what we said. I said bougie again. Yeah. Oh, I will say bougie and all that kind of stuff, but I'm telling you right now, dude is the worst one. And that crazy video, the Swimbait video, and then I caught the kicker bass, that was nuts. HP says all the big baits I'm talking about are used up this way for Muskie and Pike. Yeah, and that's another thing. A lot of these, and especially if I was messing with Muskie and Pike, I wouldn't spend crazy amounts of money, because you can lose those bait even if you're using still leaders and stuff. Like, I've seen some of those thrashings go on. I've caught a few walleye before, and I'm like, wow. If it truly has teeth, because I call bass, like, they'll have teeth. They'll get like some of them just have sharper teeth than others. Now, I've heard Mike Gilbert think he's got an explanation that just some have adapted over the years. The ones that are more fish eaters have more of a teethy type lips to hold on, and the other ones for carp. But I think they all, I don't know what it is, but I guarantee you some of them will chew your thumb up and it'll make your thumb bleed, and then other times they feel all almost soft mouth, mush mouth. And some of it's due to how fat, how healthy they are also. So that varies a little bit. But when you get on a truly fish with teeth, oh shoot. And then if you guys remember, like me and Matt, I flipped under that dock and caught that crazy whatever. I don't even remember what it was I caught. That dude, I was like, I didn't want no part of him. But I definitely wouldn't be throwing any kind of expensive baits fishing for those monsters. But SB Fishing, if you guys don't watch his channel, go check him out. He's definitely likes chasing after muskies, pikes, and that kind of stuff. But yeah, they'll throw some funky baits. Now, there's some baits out there that aren't that crazy expensive. You can go right on Tacklewarehouse. Some of the hard soft baits that are out there now, they're not Citizens and stuff like that, but they're going to work for you. They're almost anything that has a tail, a soft plastic, on either one. Even this little dude. This looks like the weirdest, funkiest thing in the world. I bought a pack. I don't even know what I did with them. They're probably gone now. I hated them. Charles put that one on. He was like, yeah, I don't like him either. But when we were out Sunday, that little dude, I don't know for sure if it was that color or that action. He had it on underspin, basically just like this. I think he may have had the size bigger. I'm not even sure. But man, he flat got on a little tear with that funky... Dude, that thing just looks weird. So Swimbaits, man, sometimes they got that drawing power. There's just something about that little thing back there flopping. They just, a lot of guys will argue, which I won't argue with you, that Keytech is probably the best when it comes to this style. Just that slow whatever back there. But man, those Keytech baits in general, man, they do not hold on. They, a dink or two, and that bait's gone. So you can go through a whole probably 2 packs in a very short time period fishing Key-Tech baits. That's why I just kind of stay away from them. If I was a tournament fisherman, I may think about it. Same, honestly, with Reaction Innovation, Sweet Beaver, and you know what? Some of you guys are going to be like, you can't believe this. I don't think I've ever once in my life bought an actual pack of Cincos. I don't think I've ever bought a pack because, and if I'm not mistaken, I don't even know how much they are now. Back when I was looking at them, somebody's like, oh, you need to do Wacky Rig, get you some Cincos, and I forget which brand I bought other than them. I went and I looked and I'm like, I forget how many you get. Is it 8 or something like that? And it was like $8.99 or I don't know. It was like, I'm like, whoa, that's like $1 a bait. And I'd already heard him talking about how it's a soft plastic. It's soft to where, you know, you will lose them. That it will not hold or whatever. So, and I don't even know how long they last. But when I saw that price, I was like, I don't need them. And that was before I got into the Zinkers. So it may have been, was it the, oh, no. Because what do you have? You have Cinco, is it Ocho? I don't know. You got the O or something. Strike King's got one. You got the General from Berkeley. Of course, the Zinkers is my favorite. You can adjust how the sink rate. You can, it lasts forever. And they got colors that do work. Peanut butter and jelly, sprayed grass, purple haze, even the Houdini, the white and green pumpkin, which is basically baby bass, the Gobi Bryant, the deal. They got pretty good colors. If all their other baits were as good as what their Zinkers are, it would be game over for a lot of other companies. So let's end this video. Wow, we're an hour in. If you got any questions, drop them at the end of this one. If you can't find these and the replacement tails, drop the message down here at the end of this video. And then I'll share that link to where these are like $2.50, $3. So there's a sale that starts tomorrow. So what I'll probably do tomorrow is, probably on my lunch break at work, is I'll jump on there and fine tune whatever I want to buy, get them bought, and then tomorrow night I'll come back here, jump on the computer, start a live stream, show you guys what I bought in case you also want to buy them, because I won't have tested them. It'll be a while before I can do that, but there is a sale going on and some of them are, but it's not a huge sale, but it's basically $2 off for every $20 you spend, up to $8. Now how I do it, I jump on there and I put in until it gives you a little bar that's showing you, oh, you saved $2, and then it's like max whatever saved. So then I stop and I just make that purchase with my PayPal. So then I'm done with that one. I've saved that, and then I get right back on there again, and then it's max saved to where as long as and it's stuff I already planned on buying. And so with the way it's looking, the stuff I'm gonna buy tomorrow, I'll probably save only like $25, but it's already cheap baits, and I'm getting probably another $25 off of that. I might, maybe like a $200 to, I had like $400 worth of stuff. And I'm like, I'm not getting all that. So then I downsized because I had those crazy trout on there. They're like I guess they're a huge copy of a Huddleston. They were 400 grams. I'm like, ain't no way. So those were like $18 a piece. I took those off. Some of the, I thought I would get some of those other $8 to $10 baits like I did these. So I'd have multiple colors, but that isn't $2.50 or $3.50 a piece. That's $10 a piece. So until I really know how well I like those or how much modifying they take to swim right, I'm probably just going to get one or two, like one of each size of the variations of the different swim baits that are on there. You know, get them here, fish them, see, you know, maybe there's a size I just absolutely love, maybe there's a size I hate, and then go from there and not get the full on right off the bat. So that's what, if I was you guys, instead of just waiting around for me to get whatever, and you're enthused now with cheap swim baits or just a high-end swim baits or whichever way, is just start doing some of your own research. It's always good to kind of have I don't even know what you would call it, but kind of be in the know with some of the talk, what people are talking about when they start talking about swim baits and how to work them. And, you know, because like Milliken Fishing, he calls it chopping it. And I've seen guys, I've been on the swim bait universe, a lot of guys like, what's chopping this or that? But it's just like if you saw me in the video out there, the way you do it over, and it's basically just like walking it, you know, what you call, they call it chopping it, but it's basically walking these swim baits, these glide baits, like you would do your frogs or your poppers on the surface. You're doing this just below the surface, or you can even count them down and do it like that kind of deal. But then there's a whole nother world of the mice and the walking ones and all that. So I totally forgot to add the last part of what I feel that you could also do if you get the one rod. So like for me, I'm going to buy, if I talk myself into it, the daily rod. That's not a cheap rod. And it's not really what I'd call bougie, but it sort of is. It's a $500 rod. I can't find it used anywhere. It comes with its own case. You can get it either in a carry tube or a crazy like gun case looking case for the $500, and it shows it sitting in there. It's big enough to put your reel, some swim baits, the 3-piece rod, basically all packaged ready to go fishing. But for me, if I do decide do, here's what you can also do with that. I can take, because I already have one, you could upsize your whole fishing arsenal. So they sell chatterbaits that are 1.5 ounces. I already have the one, the black and blue one. They sell spinnerbaits that are crazy big. So if you just like go big or go home, you want to get some of the cheaper AliExpress swim baits. You want to get just some different big swim baits. You can get big heavy jigs. You can get big heavy punching type stuff. Maybe you're wanting to go ahead and jump in, and people like Charles have asked you to like go catfishing. You're like, my rods, I guess I could try it on this rod or that rod. Dude, any swim bait rod would also make an excellent catfish pole just to go out, you know, and I might try to put a video together like that. If I get one with Charles, we'll go out and see how big a catfish we can hook up on it or whatever. But, you know, try to utilize that rod instead of just being a one-hit wonder just for a handful of huge swim baits. But that way you get a feel for it, and using it and hook sets and all that can come in handy for if you do get a giant once-in-a-lifetime fish and you already kind of know just the feel and the, you know, that muscle to mind connection feel of yanking on a huge honking rod and all that kind of stuff. So rest assured, I get one, I'm utilizing it for several other things, and I won't do it all the time, but if I'm like that midday to the morning to the afternoon, and I didn't even mention it in this video. If you're just watching this video, my take on how I'm going to include these into my arsenal, almost, not every one of them, some of them I'll try to sink down and fish them that midday funk that's when I think some giants could hit. But the early morning bite and the late afternoon bite is where I feel these can really come in handy, especially your glide ones or almost any of them that kind of float to hard baits. It's like instead of like because they make several in a wake bait, but like if they're not really hitting top water, they're not really hitting wake bait. Sometimes you can work these just below the surface, slow and then a little faster, and just try to find a speed, and that's where you could get on a giant with one of these. Like I kind of buzz baits and whopper ploppers, man, early morning, late afternoon, man, I can get on some giant bass with those. And I feel these could also be right there if say you go out and you feel like the topwater, like why ain't topwater hitting? That may be when I can utilize these. And then the slower, more methodical soft baits and that midday funk. But it doesn't mean you can't, you know, don't throw it around wood. Count some of these down and also kind of do that. If you get one that suspends pretty good, to where you can count it down to where you know like it hits bottom, then basically just start working it, and it's going to bring it off bottom, and it should stay down lower in the water column. That's also a way to try it, but during the midday. Now there's certain days, you guys have seen it, fish will just hit topwater all day long. There's certain times of the year, like last year me and Matt had Casey with us, and we got on that crazy just for like 2 weeks. You could go out there and catch them on buzz baits like all day long. It was insane. That's also a point where maybe you could get something like this in an erratic chopping deal that could also get on a little bite on those kind of times. Anyway, I got to get out of here, guys. I got to finish what I got to get all this stuff put up. I'm probably not even going to do that tonight. But stay tuned. I'll have another live stream tomorrow, and if for some reason I can't get it done tomorrow night, it'll be the very next night for sure. But it'll probably be tomorrow night, and because I can't remember. Depends on how long the sale is. But yeah, stay tuned. It'll probably be tomorrow night, and it'll probably be later in the night, kind of like tonight was. So get out, go bass some bonsai, whatever you do, make sure you have fun doing it. If you go to AliExpress, don't say I didn't warn you. Don't spend a ton of money. Just spend some money if you need to. See ya.